Alfred Free Time.
Tomorrow, Friday, also on Saturday, it's the Shaftesbury Emporium sale inside and outside the Guildhall, the bottom of the Town Hall, raising money for the Dorset Air Ambulance and Weldmore Hospice Care. On sale, Shelley's Preserves and Pickles, and there's Dave's new and pre-loved books, knitwear and socks by Gaynor, there's woodcraft by Sandra and Ian, dried flowers and glassware, there's hats, candles, artwork, leather belts, jigsaw puzzles, children's books and more, from 9 till 4. Tomorrow, a quiz happening at the Royal British Legion Hall on Coppice Street, arranged by the Shaftesbury Twinning Association. That starts at 7 o'clock. The Film Society at the Arts Centre is showing a Chinese film with subtitles. It's called Black Dog. It tells the story of Lang. Released from prison, he returns home to northwest China, where he's told to clear stray dogs, and he bonds with one. The film screens at 7:30. It has subtitles. Saturday. It's the 70th anniversary of Shaftesbury's Chamber of Commerce. There's a pub crawl between different pubs, the Mitre, the King's Arms and the Grosvenor, from 2 in the afternoon. No home fixture for Shaftesbury FC on Saturday, playing away at Bishop's Cleeve near Cheltenham, a 3 o'clock kick-off. There's a jumble and book sale on Saturday at Shaftesbury Town Silver Bands Hall at Barton Hill from 10 till 2. Lots of bargains. There'll be puzzles and toys, kids' clothes. Many of the items will be new as well. Live music on Saturday night. Irish singer-songwriter Ricky Ross, inspired by Van Morrison and James Taylor, will present his music in his first UK tour at Ashmore Village Hall from 7. I'm afraid the tribute band to the Merseybeat era, the Beatles, the Hollies and the like, the foremost, they've cancelled their gig at Shaftesbury Arts Centre. That concert now not happening on Saturday evening. North Dorset's Male Voice Choir, the Mill Singers, are performing in Motcombe on Saturday night. They're raising money for John Blashford Snell Motcombe-based Scientific Exploration Society. One of the pieces they'll sing is an ode to an astronaut, composed especially by 93-year-old County Durham musician James Gibson. Tickets from the village shop. The concert starts at 7:30. At the Trinity Centre on Bimport in Shaftesbury, the TLW Dance Foundation have got a charity quiz on Saturday night. They raise money for youngsters to attend classes they may not otherwise be able to afford to develop their performance art skills. And you can have a team of up to 6 people. Tickets are £12 per person or £60 for a table. Snacks will be available. You can book on the TLW Dance website. Just Google it. The Golden Age of Cinema, remembered with the Phoenix Cafe Orchestra. They're performing at the Methodist Church, Bell Street, 2:30 on Sunday afternoon, a fundraiser for Christian Aid. And on Sunday, it's Apple Day. From 2 o'clock, you can taste freshly pressed apple juice and enjoy live music from Tatty Bogle, John and Margaret Clewett at the Donkeyfield Community Orchard from 2 p.m. You've been encouraged to share memories of transport in years gone by with the Reminiscence Group at Shaftesbury Library, arranged by Gold Hill Museum volunteers. Monday from 2 o'clock, there's free tea, cake and coffee. And on Tuesday, you might fancy this. You can see the Best Exotic Marigold Hotel screening at the Arts Centre, a matinee in the afternoon. It stars Judi Dench and Bill Nye, Penelope Wilton and Celia Imrie, as well as Dev Patel and Maggie Smith. And there's a break halfway through for the loo. At 7:30 Tuesday evening, Bellini's La Sonnambula from the Metropolitan Opera in New York streamed live into Motcombe Memorial Hall. Tickets available on their website, motcombehall.com. And Shaftesbury Town Council have got a full council meeting on Tuesday evening. They'll be addressed by the leader of Dorset Council, Nick Ireland. You'll be able to ask questions of him. The session starts at 7 o'clock.
Alfred Free Time. Email hello@thisisalfred.com.
Staff at Shaftesbury's boot store have been praised in Parliament by the Health Minister Stephen Kinnock for picking up the extra workload caused by the ongoing farce at the town's Jhoots pharmacy, unable to issue prescriptions because they've not had a pharmacist on duty for weeks.
I pay tribute to the employees in the boots, which is close by the Jhoots, that is not providing the service that's required, and we really do appreciate that.
Thanks echoed by Shaftesbury's MP Simon Hoare.
Staff of boots who are picking up such a huge amount of slack because the Jhoots isn't there.
The Abbey Medical Centre has previously expressed its frustration at the extra pressure on its staff in trying to rearrange prescriptions, and the NHS in Dorset has suggested patients shop around and go elsewhere, a response that perhaps you might consider wishy-washy, but it was apparently strong for them. Our MP isn't mincing his words. He wants action.
Sometimes these things need a kick up the arse, there has to be some speedy action to try and get Jhoots out of the landscape, as it were.
This isn't just a Shaftesbury issue. This debate in Parliament was prompted by a question from West Dorset MP Edward Morello, who's had similar problems in his area, and North Somerset MPs also raised similar concerns. The legal framework means you can't just set up a pharmacy. There are effectively licences for each area. Shaftesbury has two, one held by Boots, the other by Jhoots. That means even if you opened a pharmacy, you couldn't just hire a pharmacy and start dispensing medicine. The issue is that Jhoots holds that contract, but they're not delivering the service. And when the legislation was drafted, nobody foresaw a situation where a contract holder simply couldn't deliver.
This is a clear breach of contract, but I'm told by our ICB it doesn't fall within contract law.
The ICB should know that's the Integrated Care Board, the local NHS organisation responsible for planning and funding health services in our area.
The regulations are mute on this point because the circumstances that Jhoots finds itself in was never envisaged when the regulations were written. That's the problem which the Minister has identified. There does seem to be some timidity amongst officials and others with regards to the overhanging threat of a judicial review were the government to act in extremis to introduce some urgency to it. I would urge the Minister to take that risk.
Minister Stephen Kinnock responded to Simon Hoare's comments.
He has rightly identified the problem, which is that the regulatory framework is strong on pharmacists, strong on pharmacist premises, strong on pharmacy staff, but it seems that there is something of a gap when it comes to regulating pharmacy business owners. That is a gap that's been identified. I have asked I've commissioned my officials to work on that at pace, and I would happily keep him updated on that work.
Stephen Kinnock said the NHS Integrated Care Boards and the General Pharmaceutical Council could potentially strike off pharmacies affected. I spoke with MP Simon Hoare after the parliamentary debate.
There is an anxiety from from local ICBs and from within the department about government marching ahead, acting swiftly, and maybe then finding itself facing a judicial review by Jhoots. But I think that is actually a risk that is worth running, because certainly in the court of public opinion, this is a clear and signal failure of the delivery of perfectly legitimate expectations on services with regards to getting your prescription dispensed.
So basically there needs to be either some bold action or legislation to effectively get Jhoots out of Shaftesbury.
I don't think it's a question of either or, Kerry. I think there's a number of levers to pull and buttons to push. That of itself then doesn't reopen the premises from which they are trading. A new operator, a new owner has to be found to do that.
As Simon Hoare sees it, there are broadly two options for Jhoots.
Either them getting their house in order and getting reliable 9 to 5, 5 days a week prescription dispensing services back up and running. Now that, if they can do it, great. It looks highly unlikely, and certainly talking to colleagues here in the Commons, they think that is highly unlikely as well. Regulations need to be refreshed and updated to reflect what is in essence commercial failure and or commercial collapse. And the regulations don't cover those currently.
And in the Commons, the Minister said they're looking at every option.
I can assure him that absolutely nothing is off the table.
You've probably seen the glossy government advertising campaigns trying to reduce pressure on GP practices by promoting pharmacies and pharmacists as advisors on certain medical conditions. Well, of course, that can't happen with Jhoots. There's no pharmacist there, and that puts extra strain on the Abbey Medical Centre and staff at Boots. Again, inoculations that some pharmacies offer, COVID and flu jabs, can't be delivered without a qualified pharmacist at Jhoots. There's a concern from Simon Hoare,
which is the impact this has for patients in terms of getting non-GP but sort of well-qualified medical advice and guidance.
So effectively at the moment it's not dispensing, so it's selling things you can buy in Boots or Superdrug. It's a shop, isn't it? Do they get money from the government to provide the pharmaceutical dispensing service? Are they getting that money even though they're not doing it?
My understanding is that there are no payments made to Jhoots by any public body at the moment.
So it could just be a waiting game, because the whole thing might just collapse if there's not enough money coming in, because nobody's going there to buy their cough sweets.
Well, look, there's not enough money coming in at the moment because staff are not being paid.
And Simon Hoare told Parliament he was worried about solo working at Jhoots in Shaftesbury because staffing has been trimmed back.
There's a danger to the one member of staff who is on duty because there are prescribed drugs on the premises.
Alfred first reported problems at Shaftesbury's Jhoots in April 2024, but it seems these problems are emerging across the country. The Jhoots chain was created by Sarbit and Manjit Jhooty. They picked up pharmacies from the former Lloyd's pharmacy chain when that failed 2 years ago. Simon Hoare asked Parliament whether something could be done for the pharmacies dealing with increased queues and more dispensing because of Jhoots' inability to issue prescriptions.
I wonder what additional support the department can give to those existing providers like Boots who are picking up the slack, particularly during the winter peak with regards to advice to patients and also administering vaccines.
So have you got any sense of how long it's going to take before, what people want to know, before Jhoots are out and somebody else is in?
Honestly, could not say. There are a couple of cases which are sort of slightly ahead of Shaftesbury in the pipeline, and if they are adjudicated and whatever action is agreed upon is deemed to be beyond legal challenge or judicial review by Jhoots, that of itself may then provide that little bit of turbocharging. There's not a constituency MP affected who wouldn't love to have a sort of magic wand where we could plot the path and devise the solution and deliver the solution in pretty quick order. There is a process, but I think what all of us were saying to the Minister, sometimes these things need a shake of the reins, and you say, right, there is a process, but let's really now put our foot to the floor, make that process as quick as possible.
Since last year, all of our attempts to contact Jhoots about these issues have been met with no response. We hope to speak with some former and current Jhoots staff about their experiences and the hopes of eventually getting paid in the next few days here on Alfred.
Today's Alfred broadcasts are made possible thanks to the support of these Shaftesbury area businesses.
Alfred is backed by Boatwright's Estate Agents of Shaftesbury, a multi-award-winning independent agency delivering fast sales at excellent prices.
Wessex Internet, for reliable internet connections that are fast and strong.
Elite Garages Shaftesbury provides everything from exhausts to aircon checks under one roof.
Call us on 01747 685 455 or visit our website elitegarages.co.uk.
Alfred 107.3 FM is brought to you thanks to local businesses like Shaftesbury's BV Dairy.
We're proud to support the farmers who keep our countryside thriving. You can learn more at bvdairy.co.uk.
Here's what's new at Shaftesbury's Morrison's Daily with the manager, Sharon Horseman.
Hi, this is Sharon from Morrison's Daily in Shaftesbury. Like something delicious and hot for tea? Restaurant quality from the Spice Tailor, distinctive and intense, the fiery Goan curry. Serves 2 to 3 in 10 minutes, a versatile Indian recipe, delicious with all meats, seafood, paneer or vegetables. 300 gram, normally £4.15, on offer for £2.95.
Shaftesbury's 10 past forecast.
I'm Ash Jury with Shaftesbury's weather. This evening is dry and cloudy to finish today, which will lead to a dry and cloudy night, and temperatures will be 10 degrees in the early hours. Looking ahead to Friday, it's another dry day ahead with some sunny spells.
A time capsule is a container filled with objects or messages from the present, buried or seals that can be opened in years to come as a snapshot of a moment in time. And Shaftesbury Abbey volunteers have put together articles and memories of the milestone events and activities during the century since the Abbey was designated an ancient monument and protected from development in 1924. Future residents will be able to browse what's inside this container in 50 years' time. Abbey trustee Stuart Edwards has driven this project and watched by a crowd of trustees, volunteers and Abbey staff, and following a dedication by Abbey chaplain Reverend Mary Ridgwell, the casket was put into place behind the altar in the Abbey grounds.
We'll need to seal it up, and the idea is in one way or another we will put it behind the altar here, which people will be familiar with in the Abbey gardens. We will either put it underneath or it will be mortared into the back, and the idea is that it is opened in another 50 years' time, or anyway on from when we started putting it together, so that would be in 2074.
I guess somebody has to remind the Abbey volunteers and staff a little bit before then, because you want more memories to be put in it over the next 50 years, things that have been collected, milestone events to add to the 50.
We hope that will happen. I don't know whether they will collect them over time or whether they will start having opened it. We obviously started and put together the memories over the past 100 years, but we hope it, in a sense, it almost becomes a sort of tradition which is renewed every 50 years. Who knows what will happen?
And this is officially logged. There's an international database.
There is an International Society of Time Capsules, or an International Time Capsule Society, which is based in Princeton, and they have, as you say, a database, so it will be registered there, and I think that will help make sure that one way or another somebody remembers it and somebody comes and has a look at it.
Are we Shaftesbury's only time capsule?
As far as I know, somebody else might want to inform us of another time capsule, but we believe we are the first.
There's plenty of things inside the casket, including a 17-page document with lots of interesting stories that Stuart explained to the crowd.
What we said we would do last year was we would collect moments and memories of that 100 years, so between 1924 and 2024. And we've been scurrying around trying to collect as many moments and memories as we can. I think if it's fair to say it's proved in some ways quite a tough job, but equally it's been actually fascinating and really enjoyable to dig up these various memories. So we now actually have a list of 50 moments which we have in paper and digital form. And we have there actually, I think, a huge variety of moments. Some are really quite touching personal memories. We have, for example, the family who came here and met the gardener and was given some seeds from the collection of apple trees we have there, and took the seeds away and grew apple trees in their garden, and then came back, and that was for them a really important kind of family memory. We also have really important landmarks in terms of developments here, going back to the 1930s with the excavations that were done there, the new museum, the altar, the St Gregory Mass, these kind of key moments, but we've got records of those. There also, I found interesting, there were some recurring characters who appeared in this. I was interested how often Bert Richards came up, and we've got the records of him telling other people his memories of when in the 1930s he apparently originally found the casket with Edward's remains. He is responsible for how these gardens are laid out now. He was responsible for the shrine, I think. He was responsible for the lodge. And he was pretty well a teenager when he started doing this. We have a physical time capsule here. We have engraved on it 1924 to 2024 Shaftesbury Abbey moments, time capsule to be reopened in 2074, so 50 years hence is the idea that the time capsule will be reopened. What we're going to do in a moment is put in it the summary document of the 50 moments, a memory stick, a toughened memory stick, temperature resistance to minus 25 degrees centigrade plus 150 degrees centigrade, crush resistant to 2,250 kilograms, and water resistant to 30 metres. Whether it will encounter those things.
The organisers thought it wise to have younger Shaftesbury residents present who'd outlive the rest of the crowd and in 50 years' time would remind Abbey officials to open the casket. Martha Dixon and Mila Elinachenko had that duty, although Martha's mum Annabelle questioned her daughter's likelihood of remembering.
She can't remember where she's left her shoes.
The women have taken their role seriously. Martha sketched an incredible drawing of King Alfred in just 20 minutes to pop into the casket.
Come back here, I'll call you up, we'll have a nice day out. We'll dig it up and open it and have a look at the remains we put in there.
So you're kind of custodians for this for the future, aren't you? Because we won't be around.
We don't know that. The way healthcare's going, we might be...
Well, how wrinkly would I be by then? It'd be awful. So what's your role today been then?
I wrote my name on the drawing that Martha did. She was very important. Yeah, she was my muse. I did a picture of Alfred, the statue of King Alfred that we have in the Abbey. Oh, thank you very much. And I put it in the time capsule to go along with the the rosemary that my mum dried.
So in 50 years' time, diary market, you've got to be back here, standing in this very spot and trying to get that out of the ground.
Yeah, we'll see if we can open it. Might need some WD-40, but...
Do you think memory sticks will work in 50 years' time?
I've got no idea. I don't know if the telephone will work in 50 years' time.
No, we'll have to see.
Yeah.
We'll have to find out.
Recordings of interviews about the history of the Abbey in the past 100 years that we've broadcast on Alfred are also on that memory stick inside the time capsule, as is an interview with the Reverend Mary Ridgwell, who, as Abbey chaplain, officiated.
This is a turning point, because I'm remembering, as we all are, those people of vision 100 years ago who worked their socks off in order that we should have this space and that it should carry on for the next generation. And I have a little surprise down here. Earlier this afternoon, I went down to our spring, which pops out of the bottom of this hill, just at the end of the hill along there. It's a beautiful little spring that you will see a lot more of as you begin to notice it. It's very clear and pure water. And I've blessed it earlier as for the blessing of a house. And so right now, I'm just going to walk around the altar and anoint it with this blessed water.
Final words and a reminder from Stuart.
Those of you who are of the younger generation who've been here, I hope you do, in some shape or form, remember this day and remember that the capsule is here to be opened in 50 years or maybe even 49 years' time.
Well, good luck to the staff at Shaftesbury Abbey, Penny, Jane and Annabel, and the trustees and the volunteers. They'll find out this evening whether they've won a Dorset Tourism Award. The ceremony's in Weymouth at the Pavilion at 7, and Shaftesbury Abbey's up for the Small Visitor Attraction title against Bridport Museum, Highcliffe Castle and the Museum of East Dorset in Wimborne. So good luck, Shaftesbury. They've got a swanky dinner planned, apparently, with a Dorset-themed menu, with canapes of Portland crab and Dorset buffalo mozzarella as some of the things on offer.
107.3 FM, this is Alfred.
Millions of people have now viewed the impressive work of Shaftesbury's Kipling Carnival Club.
Our video is trending on TikTok.
A TikTok video of their Hillbilly Joe cart has gone global. The club wowed spectators in their hometown during Shaftesbury Carnival with a dazzling Western-themed display bursting with colour, energy and light. The illuminated float recreates a backwoods saloon scene with a wooden bar, wagon wheels, barrels, cacti and performers in cowboy hats, boots and neckerchiefs. The musicians on board mime to Take Me Home Country Roads, strumming banjos and surrounded by neon lights and stage spotlights with lots of Americana props, including Route 66 signs and stars. It's packed with intricate detail, from beer taps and rustic bar signs to twinkling fairground-style bulbs in every edge, like a travelling show. It's no surprise the cart has swept up multiple prizes across the Wessex circuit. The first outing in Frome brought home first in class, best dressed driver, and second place for costumes, and the big one, best entry. A week later, here in Shaftesbury, Kipling took first in class, best lighting, happiest float, spectator's choice, and the best local entry. 7 days on, at Gillingham Carnival, the crowd loved the entertainment and awarded Kipling first in class, best lighting effect, best construction, and best in Carnival. Next, Castle Carey, they considered Kipling to have the best dressed driver, best sound and lighting, and the most entertaining cart with the most effective artwork, and again, best overall. And it's all set to be repeated in Trowbridge this Saturday. Rich Mullins from Kipling Carnival Club says it's no surprise so many people have watched the cart footage online.
So there's a Carnival UK TikTok channel on TikTok. So if you get on there, it's called Carnival UK, and it's a rainbow sort of writing with the word carnival. If you go on there, and there's 3 videos pinned. Ours is the first one at the top there, and it's of our cart at Hillbilly Joe's Country Music Club at Wincanton, and it's had 3.5 million views now and over 100,000 likes with about 1,500 comments. So we're not sure why it's gone viral, but it's great because it's us, it's a Shaftesbury club. We've had lots of views. We think it could be down to the song and sort of the algorithms of that song on TikTok.
Sadly, Kipling won't earn a penny.
Every million views that the person who puts the video up gets, for every minute video they get £100. I think that's how TikTok works. So this person is doing all right. So we sent them a message and said, "Oi, come on, where's our donation?"
From little down to great ground, this is Alfred.
A Shaftesbury entrepreneur who recently started a graphic and website design business says the grant he received from the town's Chamber of Commerce has helped his business grow, and he's considering making the part-time project his full-time employment. And there's been more good news for Daniel Sherlock of DS Design. His design and branding skills have been recognised with an award that names his company Best in the South West. It's a year since Daniel was awarded £250 from the Chamber Pot scheme. It's not a lot of money, but he says the cash was a Kickstarter.
Really did help at the time. It's those annoying things like leaflets, flyer, business cards. It all adds up. Every time I do sort of a Vistaprint order, it ends up being, a couple £100. And I know to other people, it's just a leaflet on the side or, but it all, adds up. And I do welcome guides. I do content planners for websites. I really try and, because I'm, as much as I am very modern IT, I still enjoy a leaflet or a booklet that I can read, or, my clients, a few of them really appreciate, the idea of a website is quite confusing and, all the elements that go through it. So I do a content guide that they can sort of run through, like a workbook. And, a lot of them have enjoyed the process of that. Other people find it really overwhelming, so that's fine. But no, the money I think really did help.
Recent contracts and deals have increased Daniel's confidence, and he said he had to make a considered attempt to push himself forward. Applying for that chamber money was one of those steps.
Again, it was just trying to be confident, and luckily I got it. And then, I used that money. I invested in a lot of advertising. I'd like to think it's paid off. And then, so I'm kind of reducing my hours at my other job now. I'm going down to 2 days at the Grove now. And then after that, I'm kind of going to try and really push my business for the next few years. I want to that's what I'd like to do full time, really.
So it is going definitely in the right direction if you're up to 3 days a week doing it now.
I'm at the point where I'm going to take the leap. Obviously, I'd love to just completely quit, but obviously there's bills and life. All is working quite well.
Daniel's first professional commission was from friends Bell Street, Joni de Winter and Susan Grant, who needed a website for their business offering live music, entertainment and personal presentation skills development.
Again, obviously it started with Bell Street in Shaftesbury, then that sort of led on to Sloane's, then I had Shaftesbury Trinity Centre, then I had the Fleur de Lis, got to think about my clients now. There's quite a few local artists now I've been working with. Painting, pottery. So it's been really, the reach is getting quite far now. It's any musician, it's any organisation. I'm starting to help work with the Fringe in Shaftesbury. They've asked to help with the website. Further ones that I'm getting afield, makeup artists. There's a IT support company that I'm working with at the moment. And then I'm sort of branching out now into sort of social media management.
That's writing and scheduling posts to promote businesses on Instagram or Facebook.
There's a couple people, sort of educational, building works.
And then, out of the blue, an award that Daniel hadn't entered.
Really random email came through. The Prestige Awards, obviously I had to send over quite a bit of information, sort of what I do and how I work and evidence of what I've done. I sent over all the information, sort of what... They asked me sort of questions like who would be most interested in my services, overview of the business, that sort of thing. And then I received an email that they were trying to arrange a call.
Daniel's glad he agreed to it because it brought good news.
That I'd won. So it's by region. So I've won Creative Design Studio of the Year for the southwest of England. And I kind of asked... How was I found, basically, was what I wanted to figure out. And then, they advised that it came through the research team, and they felt that I was the kind of small business that would get that kind of award. I've sort of done my research on other companies that have won in previous years. They're all kind of similar to mine, like small, independent.
There are some awards you have to pay to enter. Daniel says this is not one of those.
So it's all been free so far. They have offered, obviously, in magazines and stuff, if I wanted to pay to be in them. I don't have to pay anything. I'm invited to the events in February, I think the announcements are. Next year in Southampton, you can go and meet other people. It's all included. The only thing, obviously, that was optional to pay for is if I wanted to do certificates, if I wanted to be in a magazine.
Where you are with this award now, you've got the Southwest. Does this mean that you go to some kind of national final then? Is that the next stage?
So at the moment, I think you just get this award, and then from what I'm reading of other people, once you've done it, if you win like a multiple of times, then you can go forward. And then then there's the international awards that they do as well, because they seem to do awards all over. The latest one was in Miami. I'm seeing posts in Spain, London. It's a bit of everywhere, really. And when you think, they're saying they've got an audience of over 100,000 people. It'll be silly for me not to kind of try and get into the magazine and advertise with them.
Talking about yourself and your business and promoting it to complete strangers doesn't come naturally to everybody, but after more positive client testimonials, Daniel's become happier with sharing his qualities and skills with potential clients. It's something he's learnt over time and wishes he'd had it since day one.
I really think about that day that Bell Street came to me and I turned them away, which was really stupid of me, all over just not being confident. And then now I'm sort of like, okay, if I just was a little bit more confident, I should have started this years ago, but I guess it was just age and maturity. But yeah, just trying to be a bit more out there, advertise a bit more.
A Shaftesbury business that's going places. Daniel Sherlock of DS Design.
Alfred, Shaftesbury's community radio.
Dorset Council's heading for an overspend of almost £8 million this year, and it's mainly because of the rising cost of care for children and adults. The finance lead says it's unavoidable because the money's going where it's needed most, but it raises questions about how long Dorset can keep covering the gap.
We are forecasting a £7.7 million overspend at this time of year. The overspend is largely coming from social care, and the biggest element of that social care is within children's. It's what we're here for. These are pressures on our resources because of people needing our help and support.
That's Councillor Simon Clifford, who oversees finance, who warned the figure could climb before the end of the financial year.
And the pressure will be to go upwards as we get closer to our budget setting in February.
Independent member on the Audit and Finance Governance Committee, Simon Roach, wanted to know whether Dorset could cut costs by working with neighbouring authorities.
To what extent has Dorset looked at those collaborative opportunities to increase the purchasing power that it has?
Simon Clifford said that's already happening, both inside the council and across the region.
We are in a fortunate position that our children's are rated by Ofsted as outstanding, and so it's almost the other way round, that councils are coming to us to say, what are you doing that's so good? How are you staying within your budget? And largely, this council, as children's services, have done extraordinarily well over the last 5-6 years or so in largely remaining within budget. This is a notable change this year, but it's still reasonably small in terms of its scale. And the director will say that was largely down to numbers going up. That trend seems to have levelled off and, in fact, maybe even going down again. So we are hopeful that there will be some opportunities to readjust the forecast as we move forward.
Blackmore Vale councillor Steve Mercer warned that overspending can't go on forever.
I assume Coombe House School is in the children's numbers. I also understand that it's working very much below capacity. Now, the question came to mind there, could something be done there to make up that shortfall? Could it actually market itself to other authorities?
But the portfolio holder responsible for housing and health gave Councillor Mercer a verbal sign there is a limit at which Coombe House can trade out its services to non-Dorset clients.
Jill is shaking her head, so there's a bit of education for me.
Simon Clifford says Dorset still has breathing space, but the cushion's getting thinner.
This is off the top of my head. We have general reserves of roundabouts 35 million and earmarked reserves of roundabouts 112 million.
What happens if those reserves drop too low?
Your general reserve should be between 5 and 10%. There's no penalty for being over, apart from it will affect your audit position because you're not making prudent use of the finances. There's no penalty for being under, other than you attract attention to yourselves if it looks like you're a council in stress.
For now, Dorset can still balance the books, but the pressure on social care keeps growing, and councillors may have some difficult choices to make next year.
As the weekend approaches, you might be looking for ideas of what to do tomorrow, Friday the 17th of October, especially if you don't want to travel too far from home. We've got you covered because all of these events are within about an hour's drive of Shaftesbury. Starting off over at the Forum in Bath, it's an ABBA tribute, Bjorn Again. And at the Rondo, you can see Matt Richardson with his comedy show, Brash, at 7:30. At Chapel Arts in Bath, it's The Foremost, a ticket to ride with sounds of the 60s. Down on the coast now in Bournemouth, at the Village Hall, St Peter's Church, it's the Purbeck Film Festival with the Marching Band, France 2024, and that's at 7:30. Over at the Regent Centre in Christchurch, it's a tribute act for the Green Day Experience from 7:30, and at Corshams Pound Arts you can see Lamp House Theatre in Journey to the Centre of the Earth, also from 7:30.
View from the Hill. Great stories from Shaftesbury visitors on Alfred.
Derek.
Veronica.
Dave.
Where have you come from, Dave?
I've come from Washington, D.C. But I'm originally from here and my wife is from there. So, yeah, we live over there now, but we come back and visit and look at new places. So we hadn't been here and it's magnificent.
Well, to be fair, where you live, there's quite a few grand buildings as well, aren't there?
There are a few buildings out there, but nothing quite like this. This is I had to look at the Hovis commercial on the way over here just to get familiar with what everybody seems to know about this famous hill, so that was pretty cool. But I was wondering, did that little boy actually come up all the way with his bread on this entire hill?
He did. He ended up as a firefighter rather than an actor and retired 2 years ago. He's called Carl, and he came back 2 years ago on the 50th anniversary of the commercial to turn on our Christmas lights.
Well, I know.
That's so...
I'm from Wiltshire, actually. I'm from near Bath. So we're just family, just visiting. And yeah, we walked down it. It's a bit of a climb back up.
So do people live in these cottages right
Real
here?
Life people, yeah.
Do they enter and exit on this side? Or
They do.
No, the drive over here was fun too. A lot of really narrow single lane roads, in my opinion.
Tracks.
Yeah, from my experience of talking to visitors, you don't like our narrow roads, do you?
I love them. I just don't know if I love, when all of a sudden two cars are passing each other and it gets,
and there's no
gets a little bit close. But Dave's from here, so he has experience of driving around. So
well, you know what? Whenever I've driven to America, I've taken a sock off from the car rental place, put it on the steering wheel to tell me that side's got to be nearest the curb, so I don't go on the wrong side of the road.
Oh yeah,
that's a good idea.
That's a good idea. Yeah, actually, the hire car we got has a big sticker that says "Drive on the left," and then like a roundabout. Just go around the roundabout the wrong way.
Yeah. The first time I hired a car in the States was in Eureka, California, and I had to go to the rental place and ask them what to do because it was a car, as you'd say, without stick shift.
Right.
I'm used to gears, and I'd never driven an automatic, and he had to show me what to do in the car parking lot.
Yeah,
that's the opposite of when I lived here for a couple of years, and I was looking for an automatic, and that was very difficult because that was 20 years ago when I was trying to do that.
So what would you take back from here to Washington, D.C.?
Well, we did have a delicious meal at the Royal Oak Pub in
Swallowcliff.
Yes,
James May's.
We were hoping for an appearance. But
do you know who James May is?
As a Top
You've
Gear
been told now.
No, as a Top Gear fan. No, we do know James May.
Again, the best of British culture, Hovis and James May.
I will admit, on the way over here, I said, Hovis, I said, that's that chocolate drink, right? And then I learned
that would be nice.
it was the bread. So then I watched the commercial. But what would I take back to Washington, D.C.? Just this area right here. I mean, this is a must-see. I can't believe we lived here for 2 years and we never came down or came over to this little town just to see this view alone here at the top of Gold Hill. Just kind of, this is beautiful.
So, Dave, what do you miss about Britain? This
countryside, yeah, because I grew up in a village and there was probably less than 1,000 people where I grew up, so I'm very much country boy, and so definitely that you can't beat the British countryside. I mean, there's a lot of things I love about America, but it's always nice to come home, and I appreciate it so much more. So now we try and seek out different places that we haven't been to when we come here and just drive around, and I really enjoy it. So, yeah.
So as a Brit, knowing what Brits like, what should a Brit see in Washington, D.C. that maybe off the tourist trail might be different to what an American might want you to see?
Yeah, I mean, if you're not... It's a tough one. If you're not exploring DC itself, I would say we actually live in Northern Virginia, just outside of Washington DC, and there's actually some really beautiful areas. Places like Middleburg, which are Shenandoah is beautiful. You only have an hour and a half to get to like the Shenandoah Mountains.
A lot of beautiful hikes.
A lot of beautiful hikes there. Yeah, that people might not explore. And then there's just a lot of pretty small towns, like I said, like Middleburg, which is just a really quaint. Actually, reminds me a lot of Britain. Like just a little. Almost like a little village.
I did think of one thing I would take back from this visit to America, is that England is legitimately in the wine business now. We learned the other day visiting a winery that there are 1,000 vineyards here in England, and we even have some French winemakers who are growing their grapes here just because the climate is
changing.
Yeah, it's too hot in France and Italy, and so
there's a very good one you can walk to from here.
Really?
Walk to and stagger back.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, enjoy the rest of your time in Shaftesbury. We all know that talking, getting things off your chest, really does help, and a Shaftesbury hypnotherapist says the success of her first Walk and Talk for the Soul session has prompted her to offer to take locals on a stroll through the scenery of the Shaftesbury area every other Sunday to raise cash for one of our town's mental health charities, the Brave and Determined Company. Shaftesbury-based BADCo provides early intervention counselling for people going through mental health crises who may have to wait a long time for NHS support if they can get it at all. Emma Thompson says the first of these sessions worked really well.
It was a lovely walk. It was only a small group. It was an hour walk.
Often people fear a conversation with strangers drying up, so she's using cards to keep the chat going.
People paired up that had not met each other before, which was really lovely. And then we all went for coffee afterwards, and it was just a really wonderful Sunday.
Give us an idea, Emma, of the sort of things, the prompts, if you like, just perhaps one example on these cards, because sometimes you can use things like that. There are sort of games you can play, sort of parlour games or after-dinner games to get a conversation going so it doesn't dry up. Is it a similar sort of thing?
So these cards specifically are actually therapy-written questions. So they are written by therapists. So they really range. I sort of gave each person 2 cards. I'd sort of sorted them out, so some were light and some were a little bit heavier. So some of them may be a bit more of a hard-hitting question, but again, can be very open to interpretation. So you might have something like, what would your ideal birthday party look like? Now, that's obviously quite an innocuous question and it's sort of very light, but could go a bit deeper if you wanted it to. So something like that, maybe next to something like, what is something you avoid? Now, that's obviously a very open question as well, but it does allow people to then really have a think. Some of them are maybe a bit more thinkers as well. You'd have to take a second and take a step back and think, oh gosh, what does that mean? What do I actually think of that? But it really just allows people to start to talk about topics that perhaps they wouldn't normally just bring up in conversation. It's not really something you probably would ask a friend normally. Like, what's something that you avoid all the time? It was quite interesting as well because some people said we only got through 2 of our cards. We had 4 between us and we only got through 2 because it just allowed us to then go down another route. And then we were talking about this, and you know, I've told her my life story, but all from just an initial spark of a question, and before you know it, you're talking about everything else in your life that you feel like you need to talk about or get off your chest, and you know, sometimes it is easier with a stranger, someone that you don't know particularly well, someone that you're walking side by side next to, not having to make eye contact with.
And I suppose it's good that the cards didn't all get used, because it must be really difficult for you in this kind of group discussion if people clam up and come back with one-word answers, because there's only so much you can do to try and get a conversation going, isn't there?
Interestingly, there didn't really seem to be much of that. It did seem to flow very naturally and very easily, and I think the good thing about it is that people are coming to these knowing that this is a walk and talk, that you are having conversation, you're making conversation, and that's why people are there. So they are coming for that want, that need. So I think it's very kind of natural in that sense as well, and just the prompt cards are just there as like a little extra helping hand.
And you've got an excuse, I suppose, in that if you're unsure about how it's going to pan out, you don't want to reveal too much initially, you don't know how the land lies, who's going to be there, you can just literally concentrate on the landscape, can't you? You're there for a walk.
Absolutely. It is, and it is really nice. We're doing different locations every other Sunday.
Can you come if you just want to go for a walk with other people? Because not everybody has anything they really feel they need to address.
That's an interesting thought. People might not think they have things that they want to address. Some people do find it difficult to open up and talk about things. This in particular, of course, is designed exactly for that. So it is really what it says on the tin. But I think if anyone's feeling a little bit sort of reserved or shy about this thought of like, well, I wouldn't even know what to say, or I might not be able to hold a conversation for an hour whilst we're walking. All I would say is, you know, you will surprise yourself, and actually perhaps the person that you're paired up with really might need to be heard, and you might take on more of a role of a listener. But equally, you will benefit each other in some way. So even if you're feeling a little bit reserved about opening up and talking yourself, know that you being there might actually really benefit somebody else as well.
Is it difficult for you walking and talking about these sort of things when you might be really concentrating on what somebody's saying and also have to look at your footing?
It allows for kind of very natural pauses as well. So we went to Fontmell Downs for the first walk, and we did take a bit of a kind of a path that was a little bit narrow. So there was a bit of that, and you had to go in single file with your buddy. So there was a little bit of pausing, going up a hill and getting a little bit out of breath, and it just allowed for kind of natural pauses and natural silence, which I think is also fantastic, because sometimes we can be quite uncomfortable with a silence. So having maybe this, you know, going up a hill or having to look at your footing or go in single file and have a bit of silence and a pause for a moment can be a really good thing too.
So this is going to happen every other week, and are you going to have a different, I mean, they can't do a different place every time because you've run out of places, but is the goal to do lots of different walks so there's a bit of a variety to it?
Absolutely, yes. Just, we are very lucky. We've got some beautiful surroundings.
In terms of capacity then, I mean, realistically, how many people can you take?
I mean, the more the merrier, of course. I would like to obviously increase on the amount each week as we go. We had 4 people coming last time, but a lot of people had sent their apologies and said, I'd really like to come for the next one. So I would love to just increase the number as we go. The more the merrier. I don't think too much is too much.
And you're doing this for BADCo all the way through?
I have now set up a GoFundMe page. So that is up now, and that will just be a rolling sort of donation sort of page where people who come on the walks, I will obviously let them know that they can donate to the Brave and Determined Company via the GoFundMe page.
Well, well done you, Emma. That's quite a commitment in your life to do this for the charity every other week.
It's actually, it brings a lot to me as well. I get a lot out of meeting new people and helping people create connection. So it means a lot to me as well. And I enjoy going for a walk. So why not? Every other Sunday doesn't seem too much of an ask. It's a lovely thing to do.
So how can you get in touch ahead of the walk on Sunday?
I've got a sort of Linktree link. It's Emma Thompson Therapy, or you can find me on social media, Emma Thompson Therapy, and there will be advice and info there. So you can sign up, you pop your email address in, and then I just ping out an email to everyone on that list with the what 3 words before the event, so everyone knows where they're coming to. So as long as you've popped your email in, then you'll get all the info.
The next one's going to be then Sunday the 19th. Have you thought about where you're going to go?
So that one is in Shaftesbury. So we're going to do just a nice little circular walk sort of via kind of Brinscombe Lane, down maybe French Mill, and just do kind of a nice circular so we get some nice countryside views, but we're also quite centrally located for anyone who doesn't drive.
Next time you walk past one of the benches around Shaftesbury or in one of the local villages, look to see if there's a name remembered on a plaque fixed onto the seat. Alfred's Jeanette Hardiman is on a mission to uncover the stories about the people commemorated on these much-valued benches.
I'm sitting on Castle Hill today, and I'm sitting on a bench with a plaque that says, "In loving memory of Erland Copley Williams, 1933 to 2020. And the message says, who cherished his family and community, he is deeply missed." And I'm sitting with his daughter, Loveday.
I'm the youngest daughter of 3, yes.
Yes.
That's just made me feel quite tearful, just you even reading that, because I do miss him terribly. And we were peas in a pod. I was born on his birthday in 1967. I think I feel tearful because he did do an awful lot for community. For as long as I could remember, we always had foreign guests for Christmas, and that was through a charity called the Victoria League, and they mostly had people from Africa, and that was back in the 60s when things were quite tense. My parents were just very open-minded and very welcoming, very warm, and so I grew up up until I was about 21 with my parents always entertaining an interesting national. I mean, we had Nigerian princes, and we always encouraged them to wear their national dress, so they would sit at the Christmas table. We'd have Christmas dinner in the evening. We always dressed for dinner, a bit like Downton Abbey. People would tease me now when they see photos because we wear evening ball gowns or cocktail dresses. Gentlemen would wear black tie dinner jacket, so it was always quite an elaborate affair.
And they lived in Shaftesbury?
No, so that was back in Essex. So I was born just outside somewhere called Thaxted, which some people might have heard of because it's not too far from Stansted. And I grew up in that area, and then they moved only 8 miles down the road to a place called Hempstead, not to be confused with Hemel Hempstead, but Hempstead, where Dick Turpin was born, allegedly.
Okay.
The highwayman. And my father was always both my parents, incredible hosts. Yeah, they would really like to put on a spread and spoil people and get a bottle of wine out and enjoy that. My father did enjoy he wasn't alcoholic, but he did enjoy his drink. So from then on, I mean, he always was involved in charities as well. So he was a treasurer. His career was a life assurance broker. He specialised in looking after doctors, consultants, top-end veterinary and their families, but some of the people on his books were different actors because his time in London was spent sort of in that group of people, of actors, of thesps. How I ended up with Judi Dench as my godmother.
Oh, did you?
Family friend.
Wow.
Yeah. So because he had this business acumen, he was a treasurer for the church. He was the treasurer for the lifeboats for years, and when he moved down here, which was back in 2000, he soon helped, I think, very much as church warden. I think he probably was treasurer for the church for a while. He also helped with fundraising. He helped with it's either Save the Children or one of the, sort of world children collections. You're not allowed to rattle your box anymore, but before, when you were allowed to rattle your box, you'd stand on the street and heckle people until they gave him some money. And they nearly didn't buy this house because it's not really their thing. It's quite modern. It's a chalet bungalow, and they've lived in, the house I was born in was a 16th century farmhouse. The next house was an old vicarage, and the house after that, whilst it was a bungalow, again, it had extraordinary views. So they've always gone for quite stylised houses, not the bungalow type. It was quite funny. But my father said, look, we're here. Why don't we just go and have a look at it? And they did, and this funny-looking building was there. And then they went and stood in the garden, and they looked at, this extraordinary view. And the house hadn't made anything of it. The builder who'd built on it, it literally had one little peep window over the kitchen sink that sort of, provided you stood on your tiptoes, you could see the view. My mum just went, yeah, we can do something with this. Let's put in an offer, and that's...
And the view is, is it very much like this one from Castle Hill?
It's similar.
But out over Gillingham and
over Gillingham, you can see
see
Glastonbury Tor, you can see the Mendits. But the reason for the bench was Daddy died just before COVID, literally. And in a way, I am incredibly grateful for the timing. I was horribly sad to lose him so suddenly. He got diagnosed with post-cortical atrophy, which is a rare type of Alzheimer's, and it really wasn't kind. But it did mean that we could give him a send-off. And he was cremated, so when you don't put a body in the ground, you don't get the headstone. And there felt like there was nothing really to commune with him. I'll come and sit here and say, you're right, Daddy, have a sit and a bit of a cry. The space, this little place, is important to me and to the rest of the family. The church that we had the service in was Donhead St Mary, and that was lovely. And there is a little statue there in memory of him, which is one of my mother's bronzes, but that's been 3D printed. I wanted something much more accessible and for other people, and because COVID happened and my sister in America and I particularly brainstormed on this, and I said, how about a bench where Daddy used to walk Mum's pug? Yeah. Because he walked her pug every day for her here. He was known by the community, recognisable, his character, and he'd say hello to everyone and chat to anyone and help tourists and he helped someone who was living on the street one time and got them back on track.
So he was a very generous, kind
He was just
man,
such a kind soul. That story was a case of, someone was sitting on the pavement begging, and he stopped for a chat, and he said, what's up, lad? And he said, oh, well, I'm not that long out of prison. My family simply won't have me back. My wife doesn't want to know me. And he said, there's nothing in place to help me. And my father said, right, OK, let me have a think about this. He said, how about you come and camp in my garden and we'll help you. He said, and I'm going to look into how we can get you some help. And he went and did that. And this lad sort of camped in the garden in the summer, and so he camped in the garden, and my parents helped him a bit, and then my father found the right sort of chain of events to help this person.
Got him out of trouble.
Yeah. Got him back on track, I hope. I didn't hear any more. But my father's done lots of different things similar to that, but lots of different things where he will help if he can. So, I would say that one of the reasons why he was cherished so much was just because he was so kind. People would always say to me, gosh, your father, I miss your father, he was so kind.
And you come here a lot of the time?
I don't. I come here when I'm helping with my mum. I live reasonably locally, but because of my health challenges, I'm here helping my mum at the moment because we're between companions who are not carers per se, but people who live in the house to keep her on the straight and narrow. But my parents have loved living here, and St Peter's was their church for a long time, and then they decided to try the Semley group which has got Reverend Kate, who's an amazing priest. They've just been very happy living in Shaftesbury, and I love it. I mean, I moved to be closer to them. I prefer to be close to my parents, to help them. I'm just wired that way. Not everyone is, but yeah, I'm wired that way. Yeah. So if I can help, I will.
Thank you so much, Loveday. You told me so much about him.
Yeah, he was a good man.
He brought things to life.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, thank you for interviewing me.
If you remember someone fondly who has a bench dedicated to them in our area, Jeanette would love